It's another great edition of Studio 110.live. We're back live on the live podcast, Studio 110.live, Dirty Harry's brand new show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time out here on the West Coast. Man, I'm excited for today's show. We got a big show. We got some real special guests right now on the program here in the studio with me. I want to first give a warm welcome to my friend here, sitting in front of me with the dope ass red nylon quilted jacket. There, he goes by Huey P. I know everybody knows the name Huey P. It's becoming a household name out here in the Seattle, outside of the Seattle metropolitan area, and then management here, of course. My boy right here, Taj, always holding it down. Taj, how you doing?
I'm here, man. How you doing, man?
Good. I appreciate you guys being on time. I know hip-hop artists and managers sometimes, have the style of showing up, 5 to 10 minutes late, just to make hosts like myself a little, not saying nervous, but it's like, dude, I mean, if I say the show kicks off at 1 o'clock, let's be here at 12:30. And what do I know? Huey P's in the coffee spot here at the complex downstairs at Studio 110's headquarters, getting himself a little lunch. So he's has a great radio show with me today. What did you get? What did you eat for lunch today, Huey P?
I simply got a hot chocolate, man. That was really it in there. It took him a little while.
Yeah. And Taj, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I appreciate you having us here.
I appreciate you plugging it like you always do on social media. And how many shares did this thing get today? I mean,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I gotta check it. We just got the notice about an hour ago. So
I mean, between you and Huey, you guys were just making this big, huge splash announcement that you were joining my brand new show. But then I'm gonna play, which I'm honored. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to play Huey P's brand new record called "Not Today." But we're gonna let the listeners listen, and we're not gonna just play it right off the bat. Maybe we'll play it a few times, just because we're not gonna let the cat out of the bag right off the bat here on this interview. So let's kick it off here. So Huey P, I saw you on stage. It was a little while back where Taj invited me to host the show down there at Showbox Soto. We had a Lil Baby, we had Huey P, we had PNB Rock. It was a big show. Right. It was a big show. The town came out. I want to say it was practically sold out, because when I was on stage looking out of the crowd, all I saw was people all the way from the stage all the way back. And how many Northwest shows, first of all, have the empowerment to go into a Showbox Soto and practically sell the damn thing out. So props to you and props to Taj
thank you.
Everybody that came and supported that show. So let's get caught up to speed. You co-hosted that show. You, Lil Baby, PNB Rock, and were you happy with what you saw? Were you happy with the overall performances that night, man?
Yeah, that was definitely a good night, man. Good night for the city. The city came out and supported in the numbers, man. And
even with the snow?
Yeah, even it snowed that night. It rained that night. You know what I'm saying? And it was on a weekday. You know what I'm saying? So that says a lot for the city to come out on a weekday with the weather like that and still come out and support. And it seemed like they were enjoying themselves with all the variety of music that was there that night.
And if you're just tuning in right now, Huey P, the one and only Taj right here, management in the studio, Studio 110.live, brand new show, Dirty Harry. All right, so what do you credit your success in terms of how, walk us through how it all kind of came about, how you ultimately got discovered and, how the success has blown up to where, to the current level that it's at right now?
Well, it's been a long time coming. It's been a long road, you know what I mean? Starting from way back, you know what I mean? When I was younger, you know what I mean? It's been music and, learning, trial and error.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Catching the lessons and learning what I need to know and taking my time and not, you know what I mean?
Right.
I kind of like the fact that I didn't get discovered per se at a very young age, because it's easy to manipulate, kids at that age and not knowing business and not knowing how to deal with certain situations in this music industry.
You end up not owning anything.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of that process, so I've been at it for a long time, and I've learned a lot of lessons, and I've learned how to carry myself and how to, conduct business a certain type of way over the course of this matter. So it's now at a point where we're able to execute. You know what I mean?
Right.
More so than just, all right, what are we chickens with our head cut?
Right.
What do we do next?
Right.
What's this? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's more organized now.
Right. And, you're a modest, humble guy, and you're probably one of the very few artists, not only based here out of Seattle, but on a national level, that has had over 1 million. I just said over 1 million views for your song featuring Dave East. It's called "Talking to God" on World Star. I mean, like, I can't even begin to think, the credit and the respect that goes into being able to have a song on a international platform with over 1 million views right now called "Talking to God." So let's talk about that record, "Talking to God," Dave East. Talk about how, from everything, from the lyrics to the background of the record.
Well, the full background of the record, it was very spontaneous. You know what I mean? It wasn't premeditated. It was very spontaneous. And, I actually got the production from a guy over in Europe. You know what I mean? That I had been speaking to just brief. You know what I mean? And got that sent immediately. And we were going through material throughout the day to figure out, what's up. And then finally we get into the studio and, we go through beats as artists do.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a process. You know what I mean? We're going through material and, we select a beat that vibes and everything that goes. Shout out to my man Jazzy Bubbles over there in Europe, man. And then it goes to the creation process. You start, mumbling. You start, doing that, the situation as artists and whatever your vibe is. And we just sat there and vibed for 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
And this is over in Europe?
No. We recorded it here in Seattle, Clatter and Den, with my guy, Chris Pack. Man.
Okay.
Shout
out to Pack.
Sweatside Music. And we recorded that here at home.
Okay.
And, it was a vibe, man. And the creation process was just that, a complete vibe, man. He went in, he did his thing. I went in, did my thing, and then we vibed to it. And the lyrics were just kind of, we didn't write our lyrics together, but we bounced the idea as far as like what the hook's gonna be or how we should conduct that. And we bounced that off of, you know what I'm saying? Okay, this should go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. All right, solid. Boom, boom, boom. Let's switch it up on this end. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was very organic though. I would say that it was very organic and it was just such a vibe. That
Did you ever expect, or did you ever dream that your song, one of your songs would reach 1 million views?
I mean, that's always a dream, but I knew it was possible. I am confident in what I do.
Right.
So on that end, I knew it would happen eventually.
Right.
Just how fast it happened, I wasn't expecting.
And how fast did it honestly take from the time, Taj, that it went to World Star for it to reach 1 million? I mean, how quick was it?
I want to say 24 hours, but technically 31, 32
Like
hours.
32 hours for 1 million people to watch Huey P's song "Talking to East" featuring Dave East. I mean, that is.
It blew up quick. We never thought it was going to do that.
And I'm sure it's not the only record that's going to continue to have that reigning success. So, moving along, I'm really excited to play the brand new record, "Not Today." And if I hear it correctly, Taj, I'm the first show exclusively in the world to debut Huey P's next song.
Yes, this song's not even out. The visual's not out. It's not even on our Instagram, our Facebook.
Well, usually as the host of the show, I decide kind of when I'm going to play a song. But Huey, I'm going to allow you, since you're ultimately not only a guest but you're a co-host today. Would you like me to play it for the first time now, or should we let the listening audience continue to stay with us, because they probably have nothing else better to do than watch this.
We should let him hang on it a little bit.
Yeah, I do too. I do. Like play it maybe like 152 or something. Like the last 8 minutes of the show, and play like back to back or something.
They gotta listen.
I think that's a good decision. So all right. So musically, Huey P. In addition to the record we just talked about, "Talking to God," and this, what other songs are you currently working on? I know you're prepping for a new album. Any other surprises up your sleeve that we can talk about now? Or
I mean, I just as far as features and different things go, I like to keep a lot of things home.
Okay.
You know what I mean, and give the platform I do have to the ones around me, opposed to other people. But I do have material coming out with certain people like Lil Baby, and there's others, but it's very minimal at this point.
Right.
We're very selective on who I'm dealing with and what we're portraying in this music.
And you just mentioned Lil Baby, so for everybody because you have more knowledge probably than I do, just with the opportunity to work with Lil Baby. Can you guys just let my listening audience know a little bit more about Lil Baby and the success he's having with everybody that he's working with down south?
So he started blowing up recently, if I'm not mistaken. He has this song called "Me and My Dogs,"
right?
That reached over 1 million views right away, and he signed to Carrie Lewis.
Right.
So when PNB Rock was going on tour, he was added on as an opener.
Right.
So, like I said, he came to the studio with it also. We did a song with him. He signed to Quality Control, if I'm not mistaken, too. That's QC and them. Great label. Let me say that. Great label. So, just having the chance to do a song with him, too, was pretty good.
Right. And what other shows do you have coming up that you're currently in the works with for your artist Huey, or other artists out here in the Northwest that want that proper stage platform? Anything else right now currently in the works?
So I can't name no names yet because the contracts are being written up. But the ones that I got reached out to is Day 26 will be here on May 10th.
Okay.
No, May 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have Young Rowdy. Huey P also will be there opening up for him. That's May 10th. That's May 10th, and then Day 26 is May 3rd.
And can we get all those artists here on the show like the day before, or
Young Rowdy, I know for a fact. Day 26, I know for a fact we could do that. And then, like I said, keep your ears open. I got a whole bunch of new shows coming up lined up. I just can't say the names yet till the contracts are signed.
Because one thing that you really impressed me is when I think you went back when you and I because we've known each other for a while, but we reacquainted. I think you reached out to the Showbox and. Someone at the Showbox passed you on my contact.
Michael, thank you, Michael.
Shout out to Michael. Thank you, Michael, for connecting Taj King and myself, Dirty App. But one thing that I'll never forget, man, is that initial phone conversation that you and I had was you said, I will become the Diddy of Seattle.
Yes.
Yes. You said, I will be the P. Diddy of Seattle. And
I mean that in every way in business aspect. I don't mean that in music.
Right. And you have, though. I mean, how many managers that have clients and artists like a Huey P., and let's just talk about the Seattle area right now, have had over 1 million views on WorldStar for Talking to God?
I can honestly say, I pay attention to a couple artists. There's a young artist right now doing his thing.
There's a few.
There's a few. We're humble people, but at the end of the day, though, what we do differently is we're also connected with the artists. So we bring the shows here.
Right.
So we have the shows. We get the features if we can. On top of Huey opening up for every single show, and just like I said, we're bringing the music, the hip hop culture back to Seattle.
Great.
That's what's missing.
That's what's definitely missing.
A lot of people could do music, but it's like, what are you doing to pay back to the city?
Right. And as a manager, I'm sure people are always trying to submit their music to you and wanted to get your professional opinion. Before I kind of get back to my buddy Huey here, what are some things that you look for from a manager when you're ultimately looking to sign an artist or take another artist under your wing and build out and develop a platform for them?
Taj King will be signing new artists pretty soon, but my main thing is concentrating on one artist. Mm-hmm. And once that artist is able to take care of himself and do him, then I'm gonna start looking at other artists. But my main thing is a drive to work. A lot of people have talent. I don't care about talent if you don't have the drive to work and become great.
Right.
Makes sense? You have to actually be passionate about what you do.
Yep.
Not just I'm gonna do one track here and give up the next day.
Right.
And not just that, you have to show me you could do it yourself too.
Right.
Not everybody, you can't get walked on in any situation.
Absolutely.
I do get, believe me, multiple emails and messages, people trying to show me their music, but nothing towards anybody, yo. You have to put your work in first before I could do something.
Right.
Cutting corners, man.
There you go.
You don't want to be cutting corners. You definitely don't want to be burning any bridges, especially because, the music business isn't as large as people kind of play it out to be. Everybody, we all know each other. We all talk to each other. And unfortunately, people do burn bridges in this business, but it's not something that is a recommendation. Let's say that. All right, Huey P. As an artist, what would you say is I'm sure there's multiple platforms and multiple things that make you excited every day when you kick off your day at your house. But what are some things that really kind of make you stand out when you kind of look through either social networking or you look through just kind of upcoming collaborations or just upcoming projects that you're ultimately working on? What are some things that you can highlight and honestly say get you super excited as an artist to motivate yourself and motivate your fan base as well?
Progress, man. Pure progress is exciting to me. Being able to see what's ahead and know how to get there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when you start taking those baby steps to get there, you start seeing the progress. You're seeing the pickup. You're seeing the numbers jump. You're seeing the attention come in and that recognition that, every artist seeks. That's all we want is recognition to be able to get our voice out and our message and be heard.
Right.
So once you see that attention start to come in the right way, that's what's exciting for me.
Right.
And, the people that are fans of the music or supporters of what we're doing, that's me being excited for what we're doing is only going to make it better.
Sure.
So that entitled, that goes into them and what they can expect from it. It's like, you think this is good? Well, I'm in a better place.
Yep.
What you think is gonna happen? You're gonna enjoy it even more. And so it's a win-win. And once the artist is really in love with what they're doing, that's when you get the best music. It's when it goes the opposite way and the artist isn't driven anymore, and the artist doesn't have that flame or that love for it anymore.
That proper platform too.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's just how it goes, man. But that's what I would say: progress, pure progress.
And what would you say is like the one key fundamental piece of ingredient that you credit your success to currently, where you're at right now as an artist?
Work ethic.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, not only Taj, but other artists have told me too that if you need to be if you need to be at a studio session for multiple hours, you'll stay in there. You'll stay in there until you're happy with the sound and the project and the overall experience, because you can't do something halfway.
That's no cutting corners.
Right.
You can't cut corners. You got to take the long road everywhere.
Right.
When you're doing something like this, if it's sports, if it's
a radio host,
entertainment,
Yep.
anything, like you have to take the long road. There's no cutting corners, because when you cut corners, you don't learn certain things that you need to know to stay around for a long time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you take the long way in say, for instance, musically, if you get the product that you want, it's usually because you took the time on it, not because you was like, I'm gonna settle for this record, or I'm gonna settle for this recording that might be halfway done. It's like I just want to get it done. Nah, that's cutting corners. You gotta run it back and get it right. Get every word, every detail that you feel you want to get across, because after it's out and it's out there, that's forever. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be satisfied with what you've done. You know what I mean? If you have regret, you're gonna have to live with that. So
absolutely.
What do they say? They say failure and disappointment is just a stepping stool to success.
There you go.
that's
You got to be happy with the failures. You got to be happy with the hate. Let that come in. If you're doing that, then you're doing good.
And I think that's how we all evolve too. But like Huey just said, it doesn't matter what, if you're a studio engineer or if you're a producer or you're a radio host or you're a CEO, I mean, you are going to have roadblocks. You are going to have failures that you're going to have to overcome. And the only way you're going to overcome them is sometimes by learning the hard way. But you know what? Adapting to that change, adapting to that reality, because that's what it's about.
That's really what it's about. In those second chance, those are blessings in a sense. Those second and third and fourth chances, because it's never promised the next chance.
Right.
So if you have the opportunity to double back and take your time with something, take advantage of that.
Yep.
Because it's not, you know what I mean? No matter what it is, it's not promised that you get an opportunity to double back again. You know what I mean? So get it right the first time.
Right.
Take your time the first time and get it. You know what I mean?
And I can't agree with you anymore, because I've met so many artists throughout my years of being on the air here in the greater Seattle area, and they've always said, look out for me, watch out for me, I'm gonna blow up, I'm gonna get discovered, it's gonna happen. And I tell them, well, you're the platform that's going on in your brain that's internally telling you that is great, but when it comes time to the reality part of that conversation, it's just a complete separation. Because I get it. I mean, I get it. We take prime examples. Obviously you, Huey P, but we take the Lady Gagas and we take the Rihannas and we take these other artists that were discovered ultimately on platforms in the nightclub scene. And I can see it happens. I mean, the Cardi B's, it happens, but it's not an everyday thing that it happens that way.
Listen. I'm glad you said that, because it is not like that for everyone.
Right.
It's not a overnight success for everyone.
It's not.
Everybody has different roads in life, and somebody might have just been in the right place at the right time, and boom, it boomed for them. But
right placement.
For someone like me, that wasn't the case. I'm that artist that has always been told, "You're dope. You sound great. Why aren't you blown up?" Since a kid, I've always been that, freestyle sessions or whatever songs. I've been making music for a long time, you know what I mean? And I've always been that person that's like, this is really dope. Why aren't you on instead of these people? But it's like not until we chose to invest in ourselves and put in more work.
Right.
Put in work ethic, because a lot of people might not have the talent, but they have the work ethic.
Right.
So those people that you feel, this music is terrible, but they have a crazy work ethic.
Yep.
So if you combine talent with that crazy work ethic, then you should blossom in a way that you see fit for yourself.
Absolutely. And outside of like the music business, when you're not recording a song or performing a song or being on the tour like at South by Southwest, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, what are some other things that you personally like to do on your off time?
I'm a father, man. I'm a family man. So that a lot of my time goes to that and sports and soccer games, basketball games.
Are you a Seahawks fan?
I'm a Seahawks fan. But I have a funny story about this. Okay, when I was younger and watching football, I was younger, and there was Seattle Seahawks and there was Washington Redskins. Okay, being in Washington as a kid, I'm like, this is the team that we're at. So as a kid, I liked the Washington Redskins. It wasn't until I was older that I learned it was Washington, D.C. And
hey, you know what? Hey, it's happened to all of us. You know.
So I am a Seahawks fan, but I've never jumped a ship. So I still am a Redskins fan.
So when the Redskins come and play the Seahawks, or maybe vice versa, maybe you fly out there, are you the one that is pretty much head to toe in Redskins gear, apparel?
I have to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I can't say I follow the Redskins too much, but any new players being acquired to the Redskins squad coming into the next season that people should be aware of?
I think they just picked up Alex Smith, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not a Redskins fan.
They just traded Kirk Cousins, and I think they picked up Alex Smith. So he's a solid quarterback, if I'm not mistaken.
Man.
So when the Redskins come to town, ladies and gentlemen, and we see Huey P on television, it should be no surprise if Huey P is not in Seahawks gear, because you know what, you got to have the team that you represent. You got to have the team that you grew up loving and watching. And for Huey P, it's the Redskins. So I wanted to ask you though. I mean, you seem like you know a fair amount about football and what's going on. I mean, what are both of your collective thoughts on some of the trades that the Seahawks recently have been making?
Hey, man, I'm happy Sherman went to the Niners because I'm a Niners fan. I just got to put that out there. So, Sherman, congratulations, man.
I mean, as far as the sports, I'm bigger on the basketball side, but I do keep up on like the highlights of sports and what's going on, and I think it's gonna be something made up to be something that it's really not. You know what I mean? If it was time for them to separate, it was time for them to separate. The people who it was, the race they were, what's going on behind the locker rooms, the tweet, the talk, the gossip.
There's
besides the gossip, you never
scene.
really know. So they could just be clearing out for a new era of Seahawks football, and that could be it. But then some people are gonna take it to the stem of like, well, they got rid of only black players, or you know what I'm saying, or the inside of the Legion of Boom being done, or the
still one of the
players.
greatest defense.
You know what I'm saying? They were great, but it there's which side of the fence, it just kind of depends on that you're on.
I mean, I like Richard Sherman. He came by my old previous radio show a few times, and we would always have really good, proper interviews. His wife, Ashley, came down as well, and I wish him only the best down there in the Bay. I think the 49ers should feel, at the end of the day, it's business. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's business.
That's what I was going to say. Like, on a personal level, I don't know any of these guys, and you don't know if they're good people personally, and like you just explained.
Sherman is a good guy. He's a good all-around good guy.
And I've always heard that about him. So, on the business side, that's their business. Right. So, you got to play.
As a fan, all you can do is get mad about it. That's it.
Right.
We're the critics,
And I would hope that when the 49ers come into to our field, I would hope that they would cheer and not boo because for a lot of people, I think it may be even emotional for some people to see Sherman in a red and gold jersey.
I think for it to be that team, okay, I can see where some people would kind of feel tense about it. But as what he's done for this city and for this team,
especially the toy drives that he did with the hospitals.
The whole team. The reason why we want to say that's
what they done for the city should be embraced no matter where you've gone business-wise, because he can't control that.
You
know what I mean? So I hope so, too, if he comes.
I feel like that whole group should be embraced.
They
brought the Super Bowl to Seattle.
Absolutely. Who are some artists right now in the game, not locally or outside of the region, Huey, that you're personally a larger fan of, and why?
Newer cats, not even newer, just more newer to, the mainstream light. I rock with cats like Joyner Lucas, you know what I'm saying? I've always been I listen to more so like older music. I'm not too much into the new, but
Right.
there's certain songs that I like, but not necessarily. I'm still listening to like the Kendricks, the Drakes.
He doesn't even listen to the radio.
the J. Cole. You know what I mean? I still listen.
Probably only listens to live podcasts,
I
right?
literally got to tell him like who's hot right now or what
Yeah,
kind of beats is hot
yeah.
right now. He doesn't listen to no type of music besides his.
I'm more so, but if I am listening to something, I'm more so into like Childish Gambino or something like some real vibe, Erykah Badu or
Yep.
you know what I mean. I'm in that realm. You know what I mean.
I like Erykah Badu as well too, and I like the era that you're mentioning. Excuse me, that you're mentioning right now is kind of what I'm a fan of, because I kind of classify those artists more as the pioneers.
Yeah,
You know,
facts.
they open the door for a lot of artists that people are aware of more today, just with Instagram and social networking being as large as it is today, and it wasn't as large necessarily when Erykah Badu and these other artists were coming out. But
Can you imagine if Tupac has Instagram?
Like if they had Snapchat.
If Tupac had Facebook, I give him a 10, not a 2.
yeah, I give him probably a 12. So
on, man.
absolutely. All right. So in addition to kind of your fan base, Huey P, what's a good way for your fans to be able to connect with you and to be able to ultimately, be able to ask you a question or advice? Is there a way that people can reach out to you?
I mean, any platform. If it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, it's all Huey P Music. That simple. And
Yep.
just you'll find me on there. I'm pretty active on each one as I can be. That's a lot of social media
For
to
real.
juggle in one day. But
I'm sure every day, I mean, you probably get hundreds of people hitting you up, right?
yeah, I mean, it's people that want to, just talk. There's some people that want to know how they can improve
Yeah.
or what they can do to get, themselves into a better place and different. And you want to help everybody, but at the same time, game ain't free, so it happens. But I'm pretty active on all my social media. So if anybody wants to chime in or say what's up or show me
We always
something,
respond, man.
I try to see what I can see, but I can't see everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So don't take offense to it.
Well, Huey and Taj, I mean, I hope you're both regulars on my show. I'd like to be able to get you guys in here. Not only it doesn't always have to be about the music and debuting new songs, even though we're always going to do that.
Yeah.
But if there's other things that we need to be talking about, like other newsworthy matters that you guys are affected by, that you guys want to have that platform to be able to share it on your social, that you're coming on my show to unveil something or talk about something, let's absolutely do that. What opinions and credits, Huey, would you give to, and I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but in terms of other artists that are frustrated with the platforms that they're currently on, whether they're going to open mic sessions
Right.
or they're part of record pools, and they're not getting the traction that they ultimately want to be getting right now as artists. I know you said earlier to stay consistent and to just always stay, keep your foot in the game. But are there other secrets just based on your success that you can also recommend to these guys?
Listen, it's time, dedication, and patience.
Right.
Those are the key ingredients to bettering yourself and get to a platform. Understanding the fact that if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. It's that simple. If you're going to these type of establishments and you're not getting support, then you need to figure out where they're supporting your sound at.
Right.
And then do something different. If you're mixing or if whatever it is isn't right, you need to figure out what to do to correct it.
Right.
Don't cut corners. You know what I mean?
Because it'll always catch up.
You have to take the long way.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with people who are yes men or whatever, people that just generally want to see you do well, you get a lot, oh, that sounds great. I love it. But they're not really critiquing how they need to critique.
Nor
So
do
you
they
need-
have the proper
footstep
to be able to do it.
That's
It's
you know
the
what I mean?
investment part once again. You gotta invest in yourself. If you're gonna do music, make sure you have a good producer, a good mixer. All that matters.
And people run from the pricing. You
There
know what I
you
mean? I get a ton of messages that are like, "Hey, I want to do a feature," and I'll be like, "What's your budget?" And then we talk the numbers, and it always ends in, "All right, I'm gonna get that together, and I'm gonna hit you back."
Or there's no response. Just say sing.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, all right, here's my email, bro. Send it when you're ready. But
Right.
a lot of people want without doing. You know what I mean? Like you said, you got to put in the work. You got to put
You
in
got to.
dues. You have to build yourself up to say, hey, I deserve this amount of dollars, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Of course, we all should. For what you do, you deserve $1 million an hour. I'm not gonna put a price on my time or what I'm worth. There's no price.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when it comes to certain business and things like that, like certain things have to be, taken care of. So if you have to invest into yourself to get better material, then you have to do that.
Right.
If it's gonna take you 2 weeks to build up $500 for you to get this mix and this mastering
Or
the right
6
way,
weeks.
whatever it takes,
Whatever it takes, you better do it.
You gotta pay
do
for it.
that.
Listen to Huey P. what he's telling you. If you've got the 9-to-5 job where you don't like the boss and
Quit.
you may have one kid or you may have a couple kids and it's tough to make ends meet at the end of the month, but you want Huey P to, and I'm being serious when I say this, and you want Huey P to do a collaboration with you, like he just said, it's out of proper respect, it's going to have a dollar amount.
That's a
like
fact.
it should.
It's just one thing with Seattle, man, is where we have a lot of musicians that know each other but don't support one another. That's the problem out here.
Crabs
Plain
in
and
a
simple.
barrel.
Everybody knows everybody, but nobody supports nobody.
So from a manager standpoint, managing Huey P, Taj, what would you say would be some constructive, honest opinions and criticism for you to be able to develop what you just said into a stronger, more intellectual platform so that could ultimately change?
Honestly, we're just gonna keep working. Now, I feel like we paid our dues to get to where we're at.
You
We've
have.
done shows where there's nobody there 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
To completely selling out shows to 1,800 to 600, whatever the venue might be.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys are, I'm not talking about
saying
you guys. I'm just talking about for other people like Taj.
No,
was
I'm
just-
saying for how
Yeah.
you get there. You got to get there.
Right.
We've been there is what I'm saying.
It's-
We started off with nobody at the shows to people at the shows. To us
selling
flying.
out Showbox Soda.
Exactly. Staying consistent and not getting mad and not giving up. Just keep working.
Yeah.
I think in order to change that of which we're talking about, the ununified part of Seattle or Tacoma, whatever, the Northwest,
Right.
how ununified it is, we have to create an Avengers, sort of say the best there's no best person of, you know what I mean? You see the blogs. The best of this region need to work with the best of this region so that we can create a bigger platform to get the young.
Compared to trying to see who's going to get there first.
You know what I'm saying? So instead of that, in each super, we have our own superpowers. We have our different things, but we need to come together as a collective and see us all together. This is what we have as a Northwest region. And when we set that bar high, the people that we inspire have no choice but to set their expectations to this bar.
Yep.
So now the younger people
you
coming
go.
up under us are reaching a bar that we've set.
Yep.
This is you know what I mean? Yep. This is above average. This isn't just average here. We're setting the bar here.
Right.
And that's your work ethic. So even if you
the
fall a
labels-
little short,
And even the labels know, they said it themselves. Seattle doesn't support Seattle. As simple as that.
that's a fact.
If you go to Atlanta, you got the quality control. Even the younger kids, they still talk to T.I. They still do music with T.I. They still bring him out. You go to the Bay Area, you got the younger cats. SOB just brought out Mr. Fab to their show. You know what I mean? And they work with each other.
Yep.
Everybody works with each other. They know who the artist is working that's coming up. And here,
No one's kind of taken anyone
there
under
you
their
go.
wing.
Like, who do you say?
But it's
nobody.
not- I can't say nobody's taking anybody under the wing because you know what I mean. There is certain situations like that happening where you see like the Dave B and the Macklemore situation. The what's the one kid, Tristan Thompson or something. I think he might be from here too, but he's doing the right thing by taking artists under their wing and giving them that exposure. People like that's been around the city. I know that name, Dave B. I know that, and I'm happy to see him get what he's getting. You know what I mean?
out.
And that's love. I have no problem.
But we need more of that. That makes
But
sense.
we
need
need
more of that.
more of that, and that's he deserves it. That's great. But we have other artists. There's a lot of artists. If we came together as a collective, you're gonna see what type of talent we really have out here, and you would be surprised that it's a lot better than a lot of other places.
Yep. And Taj, you and I and I wasn't going to necessarily talk about this today, but I think we got to talk about, and I think you know where I'm going with
Yes.
this. I think you definitely know where I'm going with this. I don't know if you've informed your client here, artist Huey P, about it, but
A little bit.
and I want to get your honest, from a recognized, massively successful artist like yourself, Huey P. I want to get your opinion and thoughts on this.
Right.
For a while, I've wanted to do this, and I've discussed it with a few people, but mostly you, Taj. is be able to develop, and consistency, honestly, in my opinion, is the true, key art form to success. So Taj and I have been talking about developing a new weekly night at a proper, respectful venue here in the greater Seattle metropolitan area. Maybe up north a little bit, maybe down south. We haven't figured out the logistics yet. But the whole point of the night would be a kind of a spinoff of American Idol, and the new show that Khaled and Diddy are doing. And it would be an opportunity for artists to be able to come out each week and to be able to perform. And every fourth week on the calendar, we would crown a new artist. Maybe they would get a cash prize. Maybe they would get a graphic artwork done for their CD cover,
show placement.
Maybe they'd be able to get maybe possibly a collaboration with Huey P if that was to work out. I mean, I'm talking about prizes that you could just never get your hands on.
Right.
And Taj, when Taj and I talked about it up here at my office at Studio 110.live, he said, Dirty Harry, I think your quote to me was, it's a brilliant idea. I think it needs to happen, and I'd be able to get behind it on the show and promote it, and maybe bring some of the artists that would win the competition up there. And I just think, like one thing that really frustrates me, from a longtime radio host here in the area is I've seen a lot of shows that take a lot of work to promote one show. Right. But when you do something consistently on a weekly basis, it's emerging, it's evolving, it's getting bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger each week.
Well, that's the key. You know what I'm saying? To a lot of things, like you're getting, artists, big artists or whatever, like 3-4 months apart.
Right.
It's like if you're giving people something consistent, you're not only building that platform bigger, you're building a culture.
Well, let me say this too. I get a lot of people in my inbox asking to open up, and people don't understand there's contracts that I have to go by. Maybe 2 or 3 openers that could open up. This will give opportunity to multiple artists to come and showcase their talent and actually win something, compared to coming to open up in front of a whole bunch of people that I can't even put you on.
Right.
That makes sense? This is a showcase.
And what do you think about the idea, Huey?
No, that's a great idea, because like I was saying, it will build a culture ultimately. This is where these artists are going to be every week. Where do we want to go to see where our music stands?
And
so
we're going to let you know if you don't do good.
We're going here every single week to see what's up. And you start building a culture. And once you have a culture, that's where people go to feel comfortable. That's where artists go to collaborate with other artists. That's where people go to get exposure. That's where people go to get feedback in. And now you're starting to recognize certain people. And like, say, for instance, you said after every week you're crowning
every fourth week.
Every fourth week you're crowning an artist of the month or whatever, right?
Yep.
And that potentially could go into, say, the following. After you have them, you got 4 artists, or put a show together for the top 4 artists of the, whatever the case is. Like, you could start building things around that. And now people know what to expect. They know who's going to be around. They know what type of energy is there. And that's what people go to places for. They go to the clubs and listen to that because that's the energy that's there.
I'm glad, Huey P, that you like the idea, because I've wanted to do it, and I think Taj and I we're gonna put it together. I think it needs to be put together, and I think it should be. I think the celebrity judges should be Huey P, Dirty Harry, and Taj King. I think I think
we could even switch it up weekly. I feel like we could get some of the Seahawks players to come through, and even get some other artists from different places too.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some artists from outside of the region. Maybe every fourth week we do a larger performance, other DJs, and I think your guys' inbox, not yours, Huey P, but your staff, Taj, at the office. Would be definitely be filling up pretty quickly with people that would ultimately want to perform and be recognized, and to be able to walk out saying they performed on the same stage as Huey P with 1 million views right now on WorldStar. Yes. 1 million views on WorldStar. I mean, most artists aren't even close to that. At the proper respective level that they're at.
So, yes, and it's just the beginning, man. It's just the beginning. But we're gonna continue giving back to Seattle, man. That's the main thing.
And the other thing is, we appreciate every one of those views, because we come from getting no views. We come from getting 100 views. We come from getting, you know what I mean? So I honestly, truly appreciate each and every one of those views that went into that, and that is still going into that, and the ones we will receive in the future.
If there's one artist that you could choose to be able to do a collaboration with on an international scale? What would be one artist, or maybe it's a few, but give me your kind of.
It is a few.
Give me a few, like your favorite artist that you
Now,
would.
you got to give
like
them both sides. You got to give them the
Listen,
business side, and you got to give
this
them the
is-
actual fan.
Like my honest opinion, like people I'd work with are like Andre 3000,
Which
Lupe Fiasco.
it wouldn't work.
You know, certain artists like that. That's my realm. As far as business wise, though, I mean, like Kanye, Pharrell. You know what I'm saying? Timbaland. Like producers are, you know, slash artists.
And so as a manager, I'm gonna decline on every one of those artists he just said.
No, that's-
and we're gonna reach out to Migos for the business aspect, or maybe J. Cole.
I mean,
I work with Cole, K. Dot. You know what I mean? But those guys that I named are my personal.
I mean, it's legends, but it's just business aspect. I'm
Right.
doing a song with
Taj.
Pharrell right now. It's not gonna get us a
And
million
that's-
views.
Taj, you know what you're doing, Taj,
Yeah.
and Taj, you're.
I learned a long time ago, stop doing shows for yourself. Start
Yeah.
doing music for the people that's gonna actually come and support the show.
Yeah. I told I had a DJ in here yesterday as one of my guests on the show, and he totally agreed with me. And I'm sure you guys see this all the time too. There are DJs out there, not only in this market but on a national level,
Yeah.
that are more accustomed, that enjoy playing what they want to hear rather than what the dance floor wants to hear.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, they haven't learned yet to leave the ego at the door when they lock the door and turn on the alarm at the house. I mean, ultimately, I mean, they can't recognize that when a gal is having a bachelorette party or is out with their girlfriends on a Friday or Saturday night, and they want to hear a Kool and the Gang track or a Michael Jackson track or an old Snoop Dogg or whatever they want to hear, you better play it.
Yeah, exactly.
You better play it, because with the power of social today, when they walk out of that venue and they say, "Hey, the DJ didn't play my favorite song," I think we all know in this room that they're probably not going to go back to that establishment ever again.
It's supply and demand, even with the music game. They should understand that. You
Yep.
got to supply.
Yep. So I know we said we were going to wait till 152 roughly to play the brand new record by Huey P that everybody's been waiting for. My clocks here in my studio say 141. Do you think we should give them a little sneak preview, a little sneak taste, Taj? Or
Let's get them. I got people texting me right now saying they're interested.
they're
hearing
interested.
this
The boss
music.
is telling them to
Yeah.
get back to the office, and they're in their car right now, or they're on their phones right now.
I appreciate everybody listening to, man. Thank
Listening
you.
to Studio 110.live, the brand new live podcast that's just absolutely disrupting everything out there, and it's going to continue to disrupt everything out there. So let's play it. Brand new Huey P, Not Today. Here we go, Studio 110.live.
Yeah.
My producer Erica would like to maybe you can come over here and assist why Not Today is. I've got all my things punched up correctly over here, but maybe we need to do a little reconfiguring. Before we get the record here on the air, I kind of want to kind of venture the conversation, guys, into everything going on kind of right now, not only locally with the fashion scene, but what are some brands that are out or that are emerging that you're currently a fan of, that you've got all over your wardrobe?
Man, oibrand.com. That's all I wear. More, you know what I'm saying? It's Oi Brand. If it's not Oi Brand, it's something that ain't paying. You know, so
Are they sending you boxes of clothes to the house? Or
I mean, the
Always
office is
sponsor
based here. That's family. Not only the sponsor, that's family.
There you
is
go.
that jacket that brand right there?
This
One?
is not an Oi Brand jacket,
The hat
but
is.
the hat, you know, is something that I wore today to support the.
I like that hat.
The brand, and there's a lot that you can find on oibrand.com. But that's pretty much the brand, the company, the sponsor, the family. You know what I mean?
Let's get them next time you come in. Let's get that brand up here. Let's get
Definitely.
that brand up here. Maybe they can do a small little fashion show to unveil some of
Yeah.
their new pieces and stuff, and
That'll be fire.
you can co-host with them. How about you, Taj? What are you liking on the fashion tip right now?
I'm very simple.
You
could
always have been.
You could possibly say I wear the same thing almost every day, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a PacSun. I love shoes, though. I got a lot of shoes. I just don't wear them. I like anything. I'm not really a name brand type of person. If I like the way I look in it, I'm going to buy it. As simple as that. But I probably would never take it out the closet. It would just sit there.
Can we mention the studios that some of these hit tracks are being produced at here locally, or do we have to keep that?
Nah, go ahead.
Everything has been pretty much recorded through Clatter and Den here in Seattle with my engineer,
Chris
good
Pack.
friend Chris Pack. Swayside Music, and that's pretty much everything we've been. You know, once I build a sound and a work ethic and a structure, I like to keep that. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sure.
So if it works, it's been working. And
you're happy with the studio? You like the layout there?
It's one of the best studios here.
Is it?
Yeah, it's one of the best. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of like Microsoft and big companies go there to record the commercials and stuff like that. We've just been blessed to be one of the artists to record there. Once again, shout out to everybody there, man. It's pretty good.
How often are you guys in there on a weekly basis?
A few times a week, man.
A few times a week.
How many hours?
What's
What's a normal average studio session? How long does it usually last?
4 to 6.
4 to 6
4
hours.
is like the lowest, and then it just goes on depending on if. Because he has this thing where he'll do one song, and he'll start feeling the vibe, and then all of a sudden we're making hits, and we're just in there for a while.
Yeah, once it gets to going, it gets rolling. Where it doesn't matter. The time doesn't exist in there.
So what's your best studio session that you can, whether it was an experience or a collaboration? What's that one just moment in the studio that you'll never be able to forget?
Before you answer that, you don't forget that there's a Ty Dolla one. Tory was
I mean, I'm not even thinking. My best experiences weren't with features. My best experiences was with like the bros. You know what I'm saying? Being in there and creating like crazy amounts of songs, all night long. This is my best experiences in the studio was like younger times, you know what I'm saying, before, because it was more so about the fun of it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm a established artist, quote unquote, you have to consider the business more so than the fun. You know what I mean? Like we just discussed the artist. It would be fun for me to do songs with Andre 3000 and Lupe Fiasco, but business-wise, it would be better for me to do a song with Migos or J. Cole and different.
And
things
I don't
like
see that being too far off the grid.
We're trying, man. We're almost
so
there. We got some things we can't talk about yet, but we're almost there.
But you have to promise me that when he does a song with Migos, can I, it's up to you because you're management, but if there would be an opportunity for us to play it here first at Studio 110.live, that would be...
you gave us the love, so why not? We can guarantee
you
that.
spoke it into existence here, so
you understand. We grew up
exist,
listening to you. You know what I mean? We was a part of the Summer Jam back in the days, trying to sneak in the backstage and see how we could get in. Now we're on the show.
Now you're on the show, and you can just see how things elevate. And like Huey just mentioned, just about studio sessions. There's one producer that I'll always be forever grateful to. He's a personal friend of mine. He's going to be a guest on the show coming up, and I'm sure you see this picture right over here in my studio, top picture there, DJ Battlecat. I just with Battlecat and his style, I feel like he's a chef that can walk into any kitchen and be put to the test and put out an iconic piece of production / beat making that you'll never forget. I just feel like, and I wish I would see, and I wish I could see more artists like Snoop Dogg and some of these West Coast artists work with him because he's a legend.
Yeah,
I mean Battlecat is an absolute legend,
That's a fact.
Maybe one day there'll be a Huey P.
There
Battlecat.
you go. That's what we're gonna say, man. Shout out to Battlecat, man. Reach out to us, man. It's work.
Well, I'll definitely connect you guys up. So I think we're good here. Not today. Sorry for the little technical difficulties. Sometimes live radio shows you got to get things pressed up or queued up proper. So let's try it again. Brand new Huey P. Not today. Studio 110.live. Check it out, y'all.
I'm just trying to run it up to see if it'll make her want me. Yeah. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on the sword.
Looks like we're having a few more technical difficulties here.
We've never used this before.
So are we good here? Here we go.
We just trying to make it so that we can take it out the country. Yeah. I'm just trying to run it up to see if it'll make her want me. Yeah. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on the sword, not the day. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on my soul, not today. Now she on my line all the time, cause I made her want me. Yeah. Now she on my side in the ride and we out the country. Yeah. And we been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. Not today. Not today. Not today. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. Not today.
How can I make you believe it? Told me you needed to see it, so I showed you from the late nights with the Pro Tools to the dope moves to the show moves, and I showed you how to flow through like a boat do, and I kept you up under me. Gave it my all when they wanted none of me. Now look what's in front of me. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. Don't worry the price, put that on the company. I do what I want and you can accompany. Yeah, just show me you want me, and we can get out of the city and go run it up out the country. Or we can go back to the city, whatever, as long as you comfy. Fresh out of negative vibes, so when they bring them around, I get to tell them that I've been on the road,
Not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. Not today. Not today. Not today. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. Not today. We just tryna make it so that we can take it out the country. Yeah. I'm just tryna run it up to see if it'll make her want me. Yeah. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not today. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on my soul, not today. Road, not the way. Yeah. Not the way.
Man, I like that record. Not Today, brand new, Huey P. You just heard it first. You just heard the official debut on the brand new radio show, Huey P. Not Today, man. I know it'll reach another million views, if not more, on WorldStar when it's blessed to be up there for all your international fans to check it out. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity as the first show on the globe to be able to premiere the song. Hopefully this will be just one of the first of many more to come. And let's talk about the record. Let's get into the record. What's the whole kind of overall Huey P message behind it?
The song is pretty much just, I've been away from negative vibes, man. I've been working. I've been on the road and out the way. You know what I mean? I've been doing what I need to be doing, pretty much. And all the negativity that's around, and, I just been distancing myself from that and putting myself around good energy, good
You got to do that. You got to do that. People are always going to be trying to bring you down when you're on top. They feel better inside when they're hurting so much inside.
Yeah.
And they got that just extreme amount of jealousy and insecurity.
Yeah.
They feel better when they look at themselves in the mirror that they got to bring someone else down.
Yo, misery loves company, man. And
I forgot what you want with me.
At times I find myself asking that question, but a lot of the times I've just learned to stay on the road and out the way, and that's how that song. Shout out to my man, my brother, man, Dave Ron Madden, on the production. Me and bro cooked that I was out in California, man. I was doing a show in San Diego. One of my bros stays in LA, and I pulled up on him maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. And the crazy story behind that record is the studio was completely broke down, and we sat there for hours. And I'm like, bro, we just need bare minimum. Bro sets it up, sets it up, and we're going through beats. That beat comes on. I said, leave it on. Boom. Sat there. All right, I'm in the booth.
There you go.
And it was done and done.
Got to give a shout out to Glenn, man. He does all our mastering. He just won 2 Grammys this year. Shout out to Steve, a camera guy. Always doing
Glenn
a great job behind the scene.
Talk about being at South by Southwest.
It was a good experience. We got there a little sooner than we needed to, but understanding what it is, understanding what it's about, understanding that.
Paint that picture, because a lot of people haven't been there.
It's like a big bite of Seattle.
Yep, exactly.
Bite of Tacoma. It's like a big one. It's like both of those combined. You know what I mean? Taste of Tacoma, Bite of Seattle, whatever it is.
Yep.
You know, it's like a big one, and there's venues everywhere. So everywhere you walk into, you're liable to see somebody performing.
Guaranteed.
All day long. And then, you know, if you're a major artist or you're in demand, you know, you'll be doing multiple shows a day. And people are just literally walking up and down 6th Street and eating, you know, promoting their music, all of that. And, you know, it's a good energy. It's a good vibe. But, you know, as far as my experience, I just learned how to take advantage. That was my first year down there.
Okay.
And it's been going on for a long time. But that was my first experience down there and seeing, okay, we're not here just to be here. We're actually performing here. There's a difference because a lot of people are down there just to be down there, and they're not performing there, and you're just passing out their material. So being able to see what they do on that end and what you do when you have an actual gig or booking out there, how to take advantage on both sides and maximize your, you know, exposure while you're there.
I feel like we learned what to do, what not to do.
Facts.
First time going there.
And what are some? And give those recommendations.
Don't bring CDs. Don't bring
No
CDs.
CDs.
Don't do that. It's
Yeah, because
overrated.
really, who listens to
I'll
that?
be real with you. When you're walking and you have over 2,000-3,000 artists giving you CDs, all you're looking for is a garbage can to throw it into. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't have a CD player at the hotel. I don't have nothing to listen to. I'm not gonna take it back home.
And then again, people don't want to walk around with things in their hands.
So
and,
much.
You know what I mean?
The best material you can give is a card with all your information on it, or what is those things called where you can scan them?
Yeah, like a code. Like
A barcode where
Yeah.
you can just scan it and it goes right to your information. Like
Yep.
I said, everybody's there not to listen to us as an upcoming artist, but they're there to watch the actual artist that's already up there type of stuff.
Now, how many days were you guys down there altogether?
we were there about 5 days.
Wednesday all the way till Sunday, and we were already ready to go home by Thursday night.
And were you guys affected at all? I mean, I know it was a huge international news story about that serial.
So I knew about that stuff watching CNN. I didn't want to tell him about it to make it kind of worse situation, but it was a blessing. The experience there was amazing. The situation did happen the day after the night we left. Literally after we left. So, you know, like I said, it's a blessing.
Well,
I wish
luckily
everybody's good.
that situation is behind us now because he blew himself up, I believe, on a police traffic stop yesterday. So
Well, you know, certain people don't deserve to be here anyway.
exactly,
So it is-
exactly. If that's what gives you joy, then you better go find a new
Just a casket.
You better go find yourself a casket pretty quick and end that game because there's nothing good at all about affecting other people's lives and putting other people in danger.
Yeah.
Who are some artists at South by Southwest that you witnessed and you saw what they're doing that maybe you weren't a fan of before and now you're a fan of now?
We were pretty busy a lot of the time, so I didn't really get to see too many people. But the people I did see,
Dave was there, Lil Baby was there, YBN Demar.
And Dave East is huge. I mean, your song,
He's blowing up. He's blowing up.
you do the song with him. So shout out to Dave East, and
Of course.
and I appreciate you inviting me down to that session. And I think I was out of town
Yeah.
the night that he was here, so
Yes.
I apologize about that.
Nah, it's good, man.
Yeah, it was, and then there was just a lot of local, not
Oh yeah,
local,
we got
but,
don't
you
forget
know.
Anthony, man, and Raz and Simone, man. They did the thing out there too. Much love to
Yeah,
everybody.
we saw
out
that
way.
show too. That was.
What would you say was one of the largest on a larger scale, like a connection that you made? The proper.
We linked with the homegirl Ashley and DJ
Hella Yella. Hella Yella. Very good. iHeart Radio, and he's one of the biggest DJs, if not the biggest DJ in the whole Texas. So we linked up with them, and that was a pretty good experience, man.
They'll be coming out here and handling some business.
Not really coming out here. We want them to play the songs out that way,
Shout
so we're
out-
kind of working with something.
Shout out to Ashley though. She's from
Yeah.
Tacoma. You
Yeah.
feel me? And that's how we kind of got established. Was she saw I was from the city, and she was doing her thing where she was, and then while we were all out there, we decided to link in and vibe and see what's up.
Well, like I said, earlier, not a lot of artists have had been able to be blessed with a platform, not only with your success, Huey P, but to be able to go to South by Southwest for 5 days and make the traction and make the noise that you did down there.
Yeah.
So that's big props to you.
Thank you.
I'd like to play the record once more.
Yeah,
if
do that.
if I can here, and then I know I've got other guests outside the studio door that should be here in a little bit. So let's play the brand new Huey P song right now. World premiere, Studio110.live.
We just tryna make it so that we can take it out the country. Yeah. I'm just tryna run it up to see if it'll make her want me. Yeah. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on the soul, not the day. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on my soul, not the day. Now she on my line all the time, cause I made her want me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now she on my side in the ride and we out the country. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. Not the day. Not the day. Not the day. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. Not the day.
How can I make you believe it? Told me you needed to see it, so I showed you from the late nights with the Pro Tools to the dope moves, to the show moves. And I showed you how to flow through like a boat do, and I kept you up under me. Gave it my all when they wanted none of me. Now look what's in front of me. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. Don't worry the price, put that on the company. I do what I want and you can accompany. Yeah, just show me you want me, and we can get out of the city and go run it up out the country. Or we can go back to the city, whatever, as long as you comfy. Fresh out of negative vibes, so when they bring them around, I get to tell them that I've been on the road,
not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. Not the day. Not the day. Not the day. We been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. Not the day. We just tryna make it so that we can take it out the country. Yeah. I'm just tryna run it up to see if it'll make her want me. Yeah. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on our soul, not the day. Cause I've been on the road, not the way. The devil on my soul, not the day. Road, not the way. Yeah. Not the way.
That's what you call an international world premiere. Not today. Brand new music from my guy, my friend Huey P. Taj King. I appreciate the opportunity to have the first world star. If you're listening right now, don't be upset with me. You know, we had to keep it. we had to keep it a Seattle-based thing. You know, he's not like he's from your headquarters out there. He's a Seattle-based artist. So you know, it's proper respect that you do. So I appreciate that. And Taj, let's kind of close it out by talking about this deal that we're working on here for the near future. How long would you say we're out until we can start putting some teaser videos out there to unveil maybe the first show by talking to the proper venue placements to ultimately get that Northwest Idol off the ground from a management standpoint?
What would you think?
6 months.
If that. By the end of this year, put it like this: by the end of this year, they're gonna know Huey P.
There you go. And
that's the main thing, man.
I hopefully you understood the question correctly. I didn't say 6 months for Huey P. I meant the weekly that we talked about.
Oh, for the show.
Yeah. No, I wasn't talking about. Everybody knows Huey P. now. No, I wasn't talking about that.
Honestly, it's gonna be up to you. It's gonna be up to you whenever you're ready.
I wasn't talking about Huey P.
No, I say 6 months. I say 6 months for that question.
Well, when you already have 1 million on World Star, people already know. So I think it's a matter of maybe a couple of weeks, Huey, not 6 months. So.
I feel like we'll get we'll get the first show started up in the next 3-4 months. It's really up to you.
Yeah, I think we should do it. I think we should
really
do
up
it
to
kind of spring going into summer. Good weather. The kids
There.
are getting out of school. They can focus more on their music, and it would be good. Any shout outs, Huey? I don't even know how I would start with so many people on your fan base.
I would just say, man, shout out to the city, shout out to the region, man. Shout out to Taj King ENT, all my Fresh Preserve brothers,
Papa
man.
Black, how you doing,
shout
bro?
out to Boss Life ENT. Shout out to Mac and Nelly. Shout out to Oi Brand and everybody that's been involved this far. And
thank you for having us here,
Shout
man,
out to
for
Dirty
real.
Harry, man. It's just a Northwest affair, and it feels really good to be able to be on this platform and bring some more excitement and recognition to this region.
Absolutely, and I'm super excited too because there's a couple artists that I have good relationships with. I want to give a big shout out to Jason and Jamal. I don't know if you're familiar, guys. The High Children, they were on Sway in the Morning on Sirius out there and in New York, and DJ Nasty Ness is taking them under their wings. The legend that opened the door for Sir Mix-a-Lot, he opened the door for me, and I've been definitely thank you, and I've definitely been helping them where I can. I'd like off the air for us to. I want to make the proper introduction. I think they should meet you. I think they should meet you, and
That'd be dope, man.
they got a real nice studio downtown, and I think it would be a good opportunity for you guys to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about on the business level. But shout out to Marquis. And shout out to everybody that was at that event that Nasty Ness and I came through. I don't know if you were there, Taj, but Huey was there at
Mr. Exquisite.
Mr. Exquisite's spot up there in Lake City.
Word.
That was a couple
Flat
weeks ago.
Boys.
Flight Boys. Ben, is it Ben Baller? What's Ben's name? Ben.
I wasn't really.
I don't think I
familiar.
met Mr. Exquisite. That's one of my business partners, actually.
Yep. And so a lot of people came out, and it was a good kind of Q&A session and a good opportunity for other artists to kind of be able to ask each other questions. And I just remember when we were all sitting around the round table in his kind of basement studio of his house, Huey P walks in, and the room just kind of. I want to say the room just kind of took a quiet, ultimate motion, like there was a star walking in.
Nah, we humble, man.
I'm humble too, but I like to give proper recognition
Appreciate
and
that.
proper appreciation and respect to an artist like Huey P. Because like earlier when I was asking you the question about the new weekly takeoff, and
Yes.
it wasn't about Huey. I mean, like I said, Huey P is an established artist. He's an established artist who's not only put Seattle on the grid that it needs to be, but I feel like as the traction continues to prosper and develop for Huey, so will other artists. It's like any label. It's like any management roster. I mean, you bring artists under your wing where you feel it's appropriate. And so Mix-a-Lot last Thursday kicked off the show with me. He's got a brand new female artist that he's working with. He's getting ready to emerge on a 47-city national tour around the country. And so I just want to shout out everybody that stopped by the show. I mean, Marcus Trufant, a lot of people have come by. So proper respect and thank you to all my guests. Huey P, it's been an honor.
Thank you.
To have you on the big program today. I hope you can come back again soon and we can talk about music or whatever we need to talk about. Taj King, thank you very much for bringing Huey up, and your camera guy over here for the video.
Director Steve, what
Director
do you do?
Steve.
Next time we're on here, we're going to announce we're going to sign our contract on here. We're going to try to do something like that.
At Studio 110 Live?
Yes, we're going to come out here and sign a contract live.
Well, let's do it. Let's make that. Let's do that. Let's do it in the next. Erica's got my schedule's pretty booked up for the next couple of weeks, but
That's a
let's
good
do it
thing.
when we get an opening, Huey, and let's get you back in there. If there's other artists that you want to bring up that you're a fan of, we'll make it we'll make it kind of a Huey P, Dirty Harry co-hosting collaboration type of show. So
That'll
let's
be
do
dope.
it. Let's do it. I'm told Erica, my producer's telling me my next guests are out of the studio, so you're more than welcome to hang out if you guys want, or if you got places to go. I totally understand.
Thank
And
you for having us,
Thank
man.
you.
Most
Thank you
the
for
most.
thank you for coming
you.
up, and thank you for all your fans that came on social today to come and support the brand new record, Not Today. And I know Not Today is going to be as successful as your first record, and I'll look forward to having the next world premiere here at the studio. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys. Let's get ready here for the next in studio guest, Tracy Eden, who's a well-renowned former NFL player, is making his way into the studio here. He's got a real remarkable story about how he was in the NFL, how he played for multiple teams, and transition going from the NFL to ultimately the platform and businesses that he has built up. Talk to you guys. Thank you very much for coming in. So I'll look forward to having my friend. Tracy Eden walk here in the studio, and appreciate. I want to say thank you to all my fans and everybody watching the show right now at Studio110.live, the live feed. We got cameras in here, we got high microphones in here, and got people watching and listening all over the globe. So I appreciate that. Tracy Eden, it's an honor to have you here at Studio 110. If you want to just put these headphones on and just the mics. These are radio mics. So you got to get a little closer here, and we'll kick this off.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in. You and I had you, your wife, and we all had the pleasure of meeting each other a couple weeks ago here at a function at Studio 110's headquarters here in Bellevue, Washington, and it's an honor to have you on the show.
Well, I appreciate it. It's an honor to have it.
If you don't mind just getting just a little closer, you can
Sure.
actually tilt that up a little bit. There you go.
Yes.
Show everybody on the camera here. You have a beautiful ring there. We'll talk about that, but you just can't miss a ring like that when a ring like that walks in the studio. So let's get caught up to speed. So we got Tracy Eden here, a former NFL player, a former successful NFL player who played for Atlanta and other teams. You never had the opportunity to play for Seattle, though. So
I did not, but you are kind of stretching it by saying that I was successful. I don't know, man.
He was successful.
You're a modest guy, but I don't care what level that you're at. By being drafted into the NFL, you're successful.
Well, I appreciate that, but I tried to stand by the coach as much as I could to get some TV time, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great 6 years. I think it was a great time in the NFL. Played with guys like Deion Sanders and Warren Moon, and just phenomenal. And played against Barry Sanders and Bo Jackson and Jim Kelly. I just think it was a great era of football. And somehow, some way, I believe I tricked the NFL for 6 years.
And how would you say you tricked the NFL?
Well, if you look at me and my stature, I look more like a bowler. But I think I had the mentality.
I love bowling. I like to go to West Seattle Bowl Monday nights, $1 bowling. I don't know of any cheaper bowling establishment in the area. $1 bowling and $2 shoe rentals Monday nights in West Seattle. So,
oh my God! Well, there's an advertisement right there.
You and I might have to go bowling sometime together. So
well, I don't know if I can anymore. All the surgeries I've had, I don't have no idea. But
yeah. So talk about just the experience, like you said, 6 years in the NFL, and how that all kind of came about for you.
Yeah, I got drafted in the 7th round back in 1988 out of Portland State University, of all places. Not a whole lot of pro athletes coming out of there, but somehow they noticed me, and I thought I was going to be a free agent, but ended up getting drafted by the Houston Oilers, which dates me because they don't exist.
Yep.
They are now the Tennessee Titans. And, got drafted, and all of a sudden I'm this Division II at the time. I was Division II football player, and I'm with Warren Moon and Mike Rozier, a Heisman Trophy winner, and it was pretty amazing. It was eye-opening, that's for sure.
And what was your favorite experience about being, on the field, playing in front of thousands and thousands of people, not only at home, but being on the road as well?
I don't know, specific plays and things like that. Then, there were some, I love to hit. I didn't really want much to do with the ball, to be honest with you. I didn't like to intercept. I'd rather hit somebody around the throat area. That's where I kind of aimed.
Yep.
But I think the locker room, the camaraderie, being on the team was, where other people got your back. And just, a whole year long of being around guys that just are in the fight together to go win and go do something.
What do you miss about being an NFL official player on an official squad?
Well, probably that locker room is the biggest thing I miss.
Locker room.
I get reminded of the NFL from my 7 surgeries and my 8 concussions all the time.
Are you still affected by those?
I am, but I can keep in pretty good shape. I try to do something a little bit every single day, and I think, I'm 52, and I'll be 53 in a couple months, and I actually feel pretty good for the surgeries that I've had, just because I keep moving.
And what do you miss from the overall experience? It's like, what's one thing that you really do miss?
I missed the locker room.
Yeah.
We had some fun. We had some good times, and and it's just being in that fight together. And after the game was probably my favorite time, to be honest with you. Not during the game; it was stressful, but after the game, when you've put it all on the field, you've done everything you can, and you can look back and you can be, you can say, hey, I did everything I could. I left it there on the field, and you feel good about that.
Do you keep in contact with any of your former players on any of the teams that you play?
Not as much. I really, I played for 3 different teams, so it's kind of sometimes hard to build deep relationships. And I played 6 years in 3 teams, but I do have a lot of relationships with guys that I went to college with and hang out with them all the time. And talk
Any
with them
desire to, just with your knowledge of the game, and it doesn't matter how old you are, but any desire to be an assistant coach or a coach in the NFL?
No, not at all. I mean, I just don't think I have that kind of mind for the game. I think I played. My deal was I just kind of crazy and going all out, and I don't think my play and how I play would not exist in the NFL today. You couldn't do what I did because kind of just spearing and going for the head and those kind of things. You just don't do that anymore, and I probably couldn't survive because I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but I back that up with I'm not the strongest guy nor the biggest guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, your beautiful wife, Kimberly, here has joined you in the studio, and it was a pleasure to meet you, Kimberly, at our event a couple weeks ago. And you have an amazing story. Kind of, a lot of players in the NFL, some are better than others in terms of money management, in terms of being able to sustain their contracts and the amount of money they made from their contracts, and to be able to invest properly, and let's get the listening audience here up to speed. After the NFL, what was your next kind of career path?
Well, yeah, I took a year off, just kind of rest my body, and we had money in the bank, and it felt pretty good. I looked back on my career. 6 years was all I had in me, and so I needed some rest. And then after a year, I kind of followed in my father's footsteps. I became a stockbroker, and kind of went down that road, and thought I was smarter than I really was, I think. And you start hanging around that all the time and getting information and starting to invest. And I went from a few $100,000 in the bank, and then we went through a recession in '99 and 2000, where the .com and the .bomb season, and I went from $300,000 in the bank to minus $400,000, and it was not a good time. But I look back, and with Kimberly sitting here, it was probably the most important time of our life, because I think being busted and broke, and having to move out of our house in Kirkland, we lived on water, and we moved into Bothell into an apartment with 3 children. And it was a time where we really came together and joined arms and decided to go do something big and not just lay down, but step up.
And from that experience, I mean, it's probably an experience that you'll never forget. Just being able to build the new platform that you built to ultimately be able to go into retirement. What year? I mean, it's been some time that you've officially gone into retirement, right? Because right now you mostly travel and you do a lot of public speaking, correct?
I do. I wouldn't say necessarily retirement. It sounds like really tired, but we're still very active. But I got rid of my W-2 almost 15 years ago. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And just kind of reading your guys' bio, there's one paragraph that really stood out to me that I wanted to share to my listening audience, to everybody watching. And it says, for the Edens, success is more about integrity, faith, and commitment than anything else. They're both go-getters for all the right reasons, whether it's at work or at play. You won't find them slowing down for anything. So when Tracy retired from the NFL, you can bet that the Edens kept firing at the same speed they always had. And I think that just kind of highlights what you just said, that you can never just settle. You can never just settle. You can never just accept what's on the platform, on the current desk, and be happy with it or not be happy with it. But at the end of the day, there's a reality. And like you said, when you have children and you have family and you have requirements, you have to you have to look out for priority one.
That's right.
And you are a model example of someone that did that. Now, you're a former NFL star, and your wife here, you were a track star, correct?
Yeah.
You are a track star. So talk
Right.
about, because I've tried, I've done a little bit of running. I've done a little running on the treadmill and out on the turf at the field down by the house. But my biggest problem when I started running was I was just never satisfied with getting from one point to the next point. I was so eager to be able to start off by doing a mile or a mile and a half, and I couldn't get to it. But then I finally did get to it, and then I just started climbing. So what would you say is your piece of advice for people that are trying to get in shape, trying to look out for themselves, and running is really their forte?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, running is kind of a lonely sport. Tracy and I have different experiences with our athletic background. He was part of a team. He locked arms with a bunch of guys, and you had this locker room thing. And, being on the track team, it's a totally different experience. So you really have to have, it's just all mindset. And that's what my husband and I talk about all over the country, is just the mindset. And, what is your end result? And a lot of people get so focused on, do I like this? And Tracy and I never really had that mentality. It's funny because I didn't really like track, cross country. He didn't really like football, but we like to win, and we like the results of our hard work. And that's kind of a different mindset. Some people have a totally different mindset. They love the sport that they were in. I loved the hard work. I loved setting goals. And so I think people need to change their mindset of what is the end goal that I have? And then you kind of revel in the process. And I believe if people are focusing on, does this hurt? Is this hard? And they're focusing on the here and now in anything in life, not just sports.
Sure.
That's always been our mindset. So I always had the end prize in sight. And then the process, even though it was a grind, you kind of revel in it. And we've always believed that. That's kind of our story. Even though we were hurting and things were going good and bad, we were like, but nobody does what we do. And I think you have to have that mindset in anything great, whether it's track or cross country. I was offered a scholarship. I went from Pittsburgh to Arizona State. What a cool thing. And so I went on this adventure, and I know he did too. And I just believe that for anything. So that was kind of my mindset.
So kind of, and I think you just said it just perfectly. It's and also being competitive, right? Having that competition and that real competitive mindset that, and I'm not going to let anybody distract me or get in front of me, and I'm going to win.
Absolutely. We always went in with the winning spirit. I mean, certainly, always.
And you guys, I know you guys do, like I said, you guys do a fair amount of public speaking, and you guys do a lot of traveling. Where were you guys most recently? Where was the last place that you guys spoke?
Well, last big trip we took was Scotland. We had a great time there. We had just loving traveling the world. We're going to be in Spokane with a guy named John Maxwell in another month. John Maxwell is the top leadership author in the world. He's a good friend of ours, and we speak on stage with him about 3 times a year. So we'll be in front of about 10,000 in Spokane. And that's going to be in about, 3 weeks?
3 weeks,
Something
and then
like
Vegas the week after that, another 10, 15,000.
And can we talk about we talk about what you guys talk about? Can we talk about just some of the subjects of these massively successful large scale audiences that come out to hear you and other people? Can we chat about that?
Oh yeah. We love what we do. I don't think I was put on this earth to be a speaker. I'm not a professional speaker. You can tell my voice, it's kind of going out on me anyway. I just talk a lot now.
Do you want some water? We can get you some water.
I'm all good, really. I'm used to it being like this. It's kind of my bedroom sexy voice.
Kind of.
But, we're just, we love helping people. We love helping people get out of bondage. Sometimes financial, sometimes personal, sometimes addiction, sometimes marriage, whatever that is. Most people are in bondage. They don't even know it. And so we're really into leadership development. We're into building people from the inside out. Yep. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of our life, because we've just seen so many people get hope. And when you get hope, you can start having life again and starting to dream again. And we see a lot of people, even in Seattle, Washington, the only reason why they're alive is Starbucks. They get that energy and they get that hit to the vein. And, And it's kind of the same old thing every single day. And we are total sold out to, we believe that people are there's a few identity things that we believe in people. And we're not all the same by any means, but we have some of the same attributes. And number one is the human spirit longs for freedom. We know that, and people want to be free. And we know that people long for wonder and adventure. They want to travel. They want adventure in their life. They want change. They like change. It's fun. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that people long for significance. They want to matter. They want to do things that matter. And we also know, I know this sounds kind of goofy coming from a football player, but people want to be loved. And we know that. And we build people from the inside out knowing that that's their identity, and give them a game to play in that plays to that identity instead of just going and get a W-2 and building someone else's asset. Why don't you go do something and build your own and go get your dream and go build your dream instead of building someone else's?
And why do you think so many people today are afraid of change? So many people just can't adapt change. They're so fearful of it.
Well, it's just we've been taught from kindergarten on, work hard, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. And, I don't want to be too controversial on here. I don't know how controversial you want me to be, but...
Hey, you know what? The mic is yours, my friend.
Well, yet another day I didn't use algebra. I believe that everything that people are learning now, and they're paying 20, 30, 40, 50 grand for an education a year, it's all free. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
so
I think
true.
people are going to start figuring that out pretty soon, and the scam is going to be over soon. And I'm not saying school is bad. I'm not saying education is bad. I'm not saying that. But we believe that, if you want an amazing marriage, then you should get mentored, input, and get educated by people that have an amazing marriage. And if you want to be financially free, you need to get mentored and input and get educated by people that are financially free. And so that's why we're going to do what we do. We've been free for a long time. And I'm not going to roll around in money in my bed and just say, look how much we have today. And we're going to go give this away, and we're going to go help other people, because I believe that, we're here to plant trees that we may never see the shade of. Yeah. And I want to do that for other people.
And what are some personal experiences? I mean, obviously you're on platforms in front of 10, 20,000 people when you speak at your speaking engagements all over the world. But are there a few experiences that you've allowed people to come up and chat with you after a speaking engagement that you'll never forget about, that you guys can both share?
Yeah, I'd love to share that. Another reason why I think we're asked to speak is because of our story. And that's why we never forget where we came from. We get to tell our story over and over and over again. And we have an interesting story, as everybody does, right? And so when we're on stage and sharing our story, we can talk about having a 26-year marriage, 4 children, been through the highs and lows of life. I've been an NFL wife. I was a school teacher at one time. And I can, talking about why people are so fearful is just, being a teacher. It's either you're a winner or you're a loser. I hate to say that, A, B, C, D, F.
Right.
And so we try to help unleash that out of people and kind of help them take those layers off of them in terms of, that is not who you are. You are a champion. You are a winner. We overcame, so can you. And that's why people ask us to talk on stage, because of our story. I mean, we've had a son with kidney disease, and we just teach people, that was probably the worst time of our life, and we share that on stage. But here's our story. We tell people, if you go through it, go truly through it, which most people bunk, they stop because it's too painful. Tracy and I chose to rock on through it, and because of that, so many cool things happen in life, and people get afraid of that. And we have learned, it's like, what's going to be on the other side? Oh my gosh, this is the worst, or whatever we went through, especially with our son. Out of his kidney disease, we end up meeting our daughter Mariah, who was in the foster system. We adopted her, and I can tell that story another time. But
no, tell it now. We got time.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so our son was diagnosed at the age of 10 with an incurable kidney disease, and the prognosis was not good. It was multiple transplants, which, as a parent, you kind of read the writing on the wall. And so, at that time, we were right in the middle of building our company. And I'll be honest with you, I wish I could tell you that I was like, we're going for it anyway. It was the hardest time for me. I wanted to stop and hunker down with my family and figure this all out. But my husband, encouraged me, that, God's got this great plan. We got to keep going. And we did. And so, it was a very tumultuous time for him and for us. And 3 years into that disease, we decided to take him out of school, put him in this tiny little school, so he can get, time and care. And downstairs was a preschool, and our son at the time was in 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade, and there was this little girl downstairs in this preschool. Her name was Mariah. She was this foster kid, and my son kept coming home. He goes, "You have to meet Mariah. I love her. I love her. You have to meet her, Mom. We could save her life." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, she's not a puppy," just kind of like, and he just convinced me. He goes, "You have to meet her." So one day I'm like, "Okay, I'll meet her." So I went downstairs. I met her. Her foster mom just happened to be there, and we started chatting. And what I found out was she was ready to be, I don't even know the right word, transferred, sent to another home, which a lot of foster kids do.
Okay.
They kind of bounce around. And at that moment, I said, look, she's so precious, and my son loves her. And I just said to her, we'll adopt her. And right in that moment, which is kind of funny because I drove home going, holy crap. Like, I just, what did I do?
It's a huge decision.
It was, if you get to know me, I am that person. I'm like, let's do it. And, my husband's very logical, thinks everything through. He takes forever to make a decision, which is a good thing because
I'm like you, teacher. I mean, sometimes it takes me a little bit of time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I base everything on emotion. So thank you. So I came home and I'm like, how am I going to present this? And so to my husband, and I just went up to him and I said, "Hey, would you ever consider adopting me? Look at us. Our life is so incredible. We've raised 3 kids. We're both free parents. She needed more than just, she needed a lot of time, some of the abuses in her life, et cetera." And so I just said, "Would you ever be open to adopting?" And he said, "Yeah," which I almost fell over. You don't understand. Like, I was like, he would say, "Oh, I'll get back to you. I'm going to get a TPS report, and I'm going to read a book on it, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to, all these things." I'm like, and I was like, "Oh my God, thank you," because today I pretty much committed to adopting this little girl, and we just got a good chuckle out of that. 3 weeks later, she's in our house, and we've had her for 8 years. And so I always say glory to glory, meaning, whatever you're going through, that situation with our son got us her. And I think that's the perspective I think people need to take.
Absolutely.
And so to answer your question, do people come up to us afterwards? Every single time. In fact, we were in a small Tri-Cities, event, 400 people, and a half a dozen of people come up to us and said, "I'm going through that. I have a son with that disease. I'm going through financial problems. I'm going through marriage problems." We talk about it all. We lay it out on the field. And so many people come up to us because we can relate to them. It's not like, I don't know if anybody can really relate to an NFL player. I mean, they're so big and they're so amazing. And, I could be wrong, but he didn't get that when he played ball, so to speak. Although he signed a lot of autographs and people were giving him accolades, but no one really connected like I believe our story can connect with people. And that is the biggest pleasure. And honestly, Harris, that's the reason why we do what we do. And I don't even know what else we would do. We can't quit. Too many people they come up to you and they hug you and they have tears in their eyes and they're like, "Thank you for giving me hope. I have a dream again. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to work on this." And that is the coolest thing that we could ever do in life. So I hope that answers your question.
It totally does. You answered it in the best way humanly possible, too, Kimberly. And I think this next question, I think, would definitely be more powerful, if you answer it. I think there's a lot of viewers and listeners listening and that are going through relationship issues.
Yes.
And I have several friends going through some tough relationship issues right now, and I'll sit down with them and they'll kind of guide me through the overall flight plan in terms of issues they're trying to conquer and things that they're trying to be able to put behind them. And a lot of times it's integrity issues. Sometimes it's morals and standards. Sometimes it's just truthful honesty issues. And I wanted to get from someone like yourself who's a professional here. I always tell them at the end of the day, I don't care how big your problems are, how deep your problems are. It really boils down to one thing, and that's communication.
Oh, yeah.
That's communication. If you can communicate properly in any relationship that you're in today, I don't care, whatever relationship you're in today, respect to you. But you can't be committed in a proper relationship if you can't communicate properly. And I want you to add on to that from, more of a, professional opinion from someone like yourself who speaks in front of tens of thousands of people, how important that is. And if you don't have it, really what foundation do you have?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It is a foundational principle which people lose sight of because they base a lot of things on emotion. And I get it. We've been through our challenges for sure. It's marriage. You come from two different households. Think about this. I have a totally different background. I was raised a certain way in a certain part of the country. He was raised in a certain way in a certain part of the country. I have married parents. He has divorced parents. I mean, we have all these things. So it surprises me that a lot of people don't expect challenges to come because it is what it is. But to go to your question, communication is a foundational principle, and we talk a lot about that. Tracy's really into, but you committed. You committed. Now, certainly there's situations where, it's irreconcilable. There's certainly, I get that. But Tracy and I really, really sit down with these couples, and we're not professionals in terms of like marriage counselors. We do a lot of referring because sometimes it's a little bigger than us. All we can do is share our story, maybe some things we've been through. But here's the thing: we worked on our communication a lot. We read books on it. I know it's corny, but we actually read books on communication.
It's not corny. I mean, more people should do it because look at the platform that you guys have built up. Look at the success ratio. And I know, like you just said, Kimberly, I know you guys aren't marriage counselors, but to be able to hear it from you guys with your success story and to be able to have it, evolve in terms of the, the true core inner definition of the word communication. I mean, it has a lot more depth coming from you,
right?
From your guys' honestly, from your guys' background. What in terms of speaking engagements? What's the next one coming up on the calendar?
We're going to be in Minneapolis this weekend with a group of people. I don't even know how many will be there. About 1,000 people. Again, we're going to be doing a seminar on what we do with building assets and leadership, and then we'll tell our story. Every single time we tell our story, and it's about from 2 to 10 o'clock at night. And Tracy does. We tag team it. We're a team. He is very much mindset and attitude. He'll shake you. He'll rattle your cage and challenge you. And I'll give you a big hug and just say it's going to be okay. He's a really good guy. He's a dad of children. He has daughters, and he's not a mean guy. He'll make you think. So we believe that we don't teach you how to think. We teach you, we don't teach you what to think, I should say. We teach you how to think, and that's I think, your strength. He's very, very good at that. And so, and then again, I talk mindset and attitude too, from a different point of view. And again, we tell our story. We're going to be in Spokane, Vegas, Denver. I mean, we do quite a bit of traveling for sure, but these are more bigger events. We do 4 big events where there are 10,000 people and above a year. And then we also do really small events. Like tonight, we're working with our son and his wife, and there'll be 15 people in the room, helping these very young millennials, mostly millennials, who maybe didn't have the coaching or the parenting or the upbringing. And, Tracy and I come in and we teach them value-based principles. We teach them, be gritty. We teach them how to do their taxes. I mean, as silly as that, it's not taught in public school. I was a teacher. I know that.
Yep.
We teach them how to do their taxes. We teach them how to commit to relationships. We teach them, what else would you say, babe? And we do a lot.
Well, financing, budget.
Budgets, yes.
Most people don't know where their money goes, and it flies away. Oh. And so a lot of Dave Ramsey type stuff, and just helping people get on track in the areas they need to get on track. We refer, like Kimberly said. I was never a reader, really. I mean, I liked football. X's and O's were the only letters I really liked. Mm-hmm. And then I started going, I better build myself. I got to grow myself, because we were at rock bottom. I'm living in an apartment as an ex-NFL athlete, and it was rough. Mm-hmm. And so, I remember, lying in bed one night and reading a book, and Kimberly walks in, and she goes, "Are you reading?" I
was shocked. I never saw him read.
Yeah, and she goes,
he thought it was a waste of time,
She goes, "Is that a marriage book?" And it was the 5 love languages.
Yeah,
And
great book.
And that was the greatest night of my life so far.
stop.
So I always have a marriage book right by my
Some people have a chocolate bar. Some people have a marriage book. Some people have just a human
Whatever it
Rolodex. If they're single and they just need to someone to talk to at 2:30 in the morning. Oh, I'm going to call Eitan in Tel Aviv. I know he'll be up and available. So, what's the most amount of people that you guys have had the opportunity and luxury to speak in front of so far on an international level?
International in China. We were going to do a huge one in China, and we got shut down.
Yeah, the
Because
government
we're
got a little
talking about
nervous.
free enterprise in China. It just is the opposite of what they want. And so
Yeah.
the government's like, let's not get these people too excited about free enterprise
Yeah.
and being free.
That was
And
interesting.
so they shut us down, and they put us in this little room, and it went from thousands to 50.
15. I thought it was 15, but
Well, maybe 25
It
or
was
something like
small.
25 people, in this
that was-
little tiny room.
But it was
and-
good. They were excited. They were
that's
excited.
right.
They spread
were
the word.
excited. But I'll tell you, I wanted to dovetail a little bit off of what Kimberly was saying earlier too, which is so important to us. Is all my kids want to do what we do. So it's not like we're on the road all the time going, "Where are your kids?" Our kids kick our butt out of the door because
And we
they
mentor
know
them. And we mentor them in what we do. What a
we mentor
pleasure.
them in what we do, and we've inspired them to have a dream and want to do more with their life. And I just think that a lot of parents don't inspire their children, and then they get rebellious. And our kids just want to follow in our footsteps. Not that they have to. They can do whatever they want to do. But why wouldn't they want to do something that allows them to be free and travel the world,
Have choices.
and have choices,
Yes.
give back, and live debt free?
Absolutely, and I think that's a powerful message in itself, because a lot of people do struggle. I mean, a lot of people honestly do struggle with it, whether they don't know how to manage their funds properly, or like you said earlier, they just don't know how their funds are being allocated.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not their fault.
Agreed.
Sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes they need a proper coach to come in and sit down with them and say, just to open up the total, open, the picture ultimately, and say, this is how the current picture is, but I wanted to, redesign it to this picture, and, really see the night and day, opportunities where they can really grow and shine from being in that position, but then seeing the new picture and how that evolves ultimately, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
Absolutely.
Kimberly and I just had so many issues and challenges with all of this, which makes us a better teacher now. It's not like we're coming from a position of, hey, I had millions of dollars getting out of the NFL and everything was great. Nobody can duplicate that. And so us being broke was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to us, because we had to start budgeting and understanding budget. We had to start working on our marriage. When we were in debt, it was just tough times
It's
in our
so
marriage.
stressful.
It is
So
stressful. And
stressful.
Kimberly just wanted to have peace of mind. And I just, as a guy, I just wanted her to be able to say things like, it's only money. And hardly anybody ever gets to say that, because there's just so much scarcity out there. And we try to help people live in abundance.
Yes.
Have you ever thought, and I'm sure you've thought about this, Tracy, going and speaking to current NFL teams today in the locker room and them hearing your success story and where you were? Because a lot of these players are young, and they maybe didn't have the foundation and the upbringing from parents, the way they grew up. Some of them did, some of them didn't. And I think, you can read a book and you can watch things on YouTube, but when you have a guy like Tracy in a locker room setting, or even, at the NFL headquarters of that, proper team in that proper city, I think it would be powerful. I mean, I don't know if you've ever thought about doing like a road trip, speaking to these teams on the off season, or even during the game, and showing these players like, really what it's about. Because I mean, I can't recall the who wrote the story, but he used to play for the Lakers. I want to say maybe it's Lamar Odom. I think it's Lamar Odom, and I saw it on one of my show prep sites earlier before it went off the air. And he's really in trouble. He's really in trouble right now. And like you said, it was the proper kind of proper / improper upbringing, but then it was the marriage issues, and he's had to completely reevaluate, and he's having hard times right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the story or not. But.
Yes. And, I think...
It's very common, isn't it?
Have I thought about that? Not really, but it would probably be a good idea. But the question now arises is, are they ready to hear it? At that young of age, you think that money grows on trees. You're getting a lot of money for free, and a lot of it just goes over people's heads, and they're just not ready to listen. And the great thing, what we're doing now is people are prepared to be in the room. We don't invite everybody. We have a wide gate, but it's a narrow path. And to get inside the room when we speak is not, we don't put any newspaper ads out. Not that there's not even newspaper ads anymore, hardly, but, we don't put ads out on the paper. We actually vet people and make sure that they're actually ambitious, they want more in their life, and they're just somebody that goes, my job is not getting me where I want to be, and I know I've been put here to do more. And those are the people that we love to work with because they're ready to work with. And so we invest a lot of time, and we can invest a whole lot more time in a lot of people that are ready to hear it rather than trying to get somebody excited about it. Does that make sense?
Can I add to that too, just to kind of go back? That's one of the things I noticed I was an NFL wife, which is funny to say now, but I did notice that there were a lot of really, really young players that, you're right, they have no mentorship, no direction. And I always thought, wouldn't it be interesting or a service to these players to actually have that team, have someone on hand to help them with their finances and investing? And because I can't tell you, they're so young, and we were young. I mean, Tracy was pretty conservative, but most players, they'll go out and buy 5 cars, and then they get injured, or that was a free safety that Tracy played with, and he was injured and his career was over. And I believe it would be a service, whether it would be someone like us or someone actually, I think a full-time employee on hand, I think would be a service to these young men that don't have the direction. And, I do too. And, because my gosh, they're the best of the best. And what a tragedy to be a 30 for 30, whatever that program, what is it, 30 for 30, where usually it's that story. They were just high on life. They had every opportunity. They had, just so many people wanting things from them and never had a plan of action. And so I think that would be just an incredible thing to offer.
And exactly, Kimberly, like you just said earlier, Tracy, like a lot of these players, they're not, currently in the mindset. They don't think like that. They're making so much money, and they're just, it's a very materialistic lifestyle in terms of the houses and the cars and the fashion and the jewelry. And I get that, and I see that. But all it takes is one injury. It takes one injury where you break that neck in the wrong spot, and then you're in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And you're not getting out of the wheelchair, and your life has changed forever. So, I would think, and believe me, I'm not a counselor, and I'm not a mentor or a public speaker on that level. But I would think if I was in an NFL organization, I would pay any dollar amount, and I'm serious when I say this, to have someone like you two come into the locker room and say how important it is to be able to have that proper understanding and knowing that, yes, it's a contract, but that thing could be dissolved, in a matter of seconds.
Yep.
I mean, that's the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
And even if it changes one person's life, it's one person.
Absolutely.
That's always our mindset. If we're in a room of thousands, but if it changes one life, I mean, that'll change the destiny of their family, which could change the world. As corny as that is, we honestly believe that.
And kind of emerging now, and we've talked a lot about NFL and sports. So we have a lot of viewers, Tracy, that would love the opportunity to be able to kick off a successful business opportunity. What's like one piece of advice that you would give to an up and comer, whether they want to start off a construction business, or they want to do a fashion line or open up a nightclub? What are kind of your top 5 or top 10 tricks that you speak about that people now can have an opportunity to hear at Studio110.live?
Wow, that's a loaded question, that's for sure, because it's hard to talk about other businesses when we are we're so excited and believe that what we do, there's just hardly anything else like it out there. I will tell you this, the illiterate of the future are going to be people that can't unlearn what they learned in public school. And the literate, the ones that will understand what's going on and want to jump in front of some of the greatest trends we're ever going to see, because there is a giant redistribution of wealth happening in the United States right now. And that redistribution is coming out of corporate America. We see a lot of great companies in Seattle. They're doing amazing, and I love them. They're Costco's and the Amazons, and there's Microsoft, and then you got the Apple computers, and you got Elon Musk of Tesla. They're just rocking, and things, and Facebook, which hasn't been doing that well the last few days, but just an amazing multi-billionaires. But for every company like that, there's multiple companies like Sears and Macy's that are closing doors. And what's happening is that redistribution is coming out of those those corporations. And the people that are going to be the ones that benefit the most are going to be ones that are independent business owners and entrepreneurs across the nation that understand that more people are going to shop online in the next decade than shop online right now. And we wanted to do things not so much in a small business sense where everything was one-to-one, meaning it was all based on me. I maybe had a couple employees, but still in a small business, if you're a dentist, if you don't drill, fill, and bill, you don't make any money.
Right.
But if you're called to be a dentist, go be a dentist. But what happens if you break your finger? How can you be a dentist? You're not going to stick a cast in someone's mouth, right?
Yes.
And so we want people to be a dentist and be a doctor. I work with a lot of doctors. I work with a lot of people in corporate America that are up in the top of the pyramid of corporate America. I work with Navy SEALs and colonels in the Air Force, and they all want their time back more than anything else in the world. They want their time back, and how you have to do that is through leverage, because all wealth is created through duplication. And if you can duplicate yourself, you see the owner of corporate America, he duplicates with employees, and the employees create pyramids. And most people don't want to be an employee. They don't want to have somebody on top of them and get paid, from somebody, on top of them. They want what you want is the duplication, and what we decided to duplicate is not with employees. We decided to duplicate with other business owners. And so we partner up with people and teach them how to run their own business, because the literate of the future will be people that can partner up with major companies that already have roots, already have great financials, already have product bases. So you don't have to have a bunch of employees, because for most people, an employee is the Latin word for headache. And so you don't have to have a whole lot of employees. And so you can be a business owner, taking advantage of what business owners can take advantage of, and duplicate yourself. So if you're in Italy, if you sleep in, if you do whatever you want to do, if you've built your business the proper way, and it should take you no longer than 4 or 5 years, if you build it properly, you should be able to get paid when you sleep. And that's when you know you have control of money, and you're stopping chasing money. You're stopping saying that I love what I do, but you get in traffic for 2 hours every single day, and you start getting your time back. And then if you really love what you do, you can do it for free.
I mean, fascinating. Fascinating. And I mean, and just how you said that you have colonels. You have colonels and these high level people, men and women all over the globe, getting that type of recommendations from you on this platform today at Studio 110. I know you said you guys have an upcoming show in Spokane, and since we're a Washington-based live show, can we talk about that? Just because I think people out there listening would want to come, would want to come and support it, and not to say that people around the globe, wouldn't want to fly out for one of these, but since it's in our backyard, can we talk about the one coming up in Spokane?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it is not an open admission type of event.
Okay.
So someone who is excited about starting a business or something, or wants inspiration, cannot just pay admission to come in. These are already established business owners, and so it's a little more exclusive, so to speak. Certainly, if someone wanted to partner up with Tracy and I, we'd have to have that conversation,
sure,
of course. But it's not that kind of event, which I appreciate, because I appreciate the plug, so to speak.
Because the reason I asked that is because you guys do events though where you can purchase, correct? I mean, I remember when you and I chatted a couple weeks ago here at our headquarters, you said there are events that people can purchase tickets like they're going to a play or an opera.
Yeah, there are some like that. Not this particular one,
okay,
or the bigger ones. It's just a smaller. And most of them are free, actually, the invite only, free. And that's against, you have to be invited. I mean, we don't just say, oh, yeah, it's at this place, so wait in line and pay your ticket and you can come in. Like Tracy said, there is a process that we take people through, which is really...
Like it should. There should be that process.
It's totally different than maybe what people think what we do. We don't say just come one, come all, which is, I mean, it's not that it's not our heart. We want everybody to be involved in what we do because we believe in it. However, it has to be the right person, and it has to be a win-win. It's a trust thing. And so we take someone through a process to where, they make this team. So anyone who wanted to be a part of what we do actually has to go through a process, whether invited by someone like myself and Tracy or the thousands of people that are on our team. And I think it's just a great way because when they're in a room, they know why they're there. They're not just walking in a room going, what is this? Who are these people? They know why they're there because they have a deep-rooted why. They have a deep-rooted dream. And their job or their situation is absolutely not getting them to where they want to be. They are not singing their song. They don't feel significant. They want to make a change. And so when people are in those rooms, we've already talked about that. And then by the time they get in those rooms, they know exactly why they're there. They're ready to receive because we don't want anyone there that is just maybe a little skeptical or something, because it just changes the energy of the room. We want people to know why they're there. There's no pulling the wool over people's eyes. It feels really good, to be honest, our process, which not everybody does that when what we do. And it does make things not maybe just grow as fast as they are. We're a slowly, surely, steadily company. But we also have lots of deep-rooted roots, and our partners stick with us. It's not a revolving door. And we've purposely created this process for that reason. So I hope that answers your question.
It totally does. I would love the opportunity to be able to come to one of these and just witness the people's facial reactions when they hear you and Tracy speak at the podium in front of whether it's 60 people or 10,000 people.
Oh, we love that. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd
love the opportunity to come out. And I think what you just mentioned too, Tracy, earlier about how retail is becoming, day by day, continually, being, just not being the forward trending, conglomerate ultimately to go out and be purchasing things. I mean, with Amazon and with Costco and with everything kind of merging now, obviously more online for their target sales. When we talk about, like you mentioned, a Macy's, for example, or a Sears, I feel like if these, larger brands would have reinvented themselves and would have reconfigured themselves and would have just aligned themselves and just ultimately revalued themselves as companies, they would have the proper pedestal to be able to function and operate today, but they chose not to.
Yep. Yes, true story.
They chose not to, and when I walk around downtown and I walk by Macy's, I mean, floor and floor and floor of product, but just few people in there.
Yes.
Just because it's like I honestly, I can't even tell you the last time I walked into a Macy's, just because there's nothing that would drive me as a human being in there to purchase anything.
They didn't create a different experience, that's for sure.
They
and
did
that's a true story with all the companies that didn't reinvent themselves.
Yeah, you walk in the mall, if you come to a Sears, I think it's the Latin word for the end. You don't go in, They're trying to put playgrounds right near it to get your kids close to it, but you still won't go venture in there.
I had a guest yesterday on my show. Shout out to Lee listening right now. He has a men's and women's clothing boutique here at Bellevue Square. It's called Urbanity, and he has a lot of Seahawks players. A lot of players come into his store, and he said to me, honestly, the only two stores when they go to a mall like that is they're going to Urbanity and they're going to Zara. Mm-hmm. They're going to Zara because these people, it's like it's subscribed in their brains. They know what they're looking for in that mall, and it's in and out for them. And there's nothing else that really appeals, for like he mentioned, Seahawks players. Now that doesn't apply to everybody, but it just shows when we come to fashion and how fashion evolves and the level evolves. Like, I mean, I love Zara. Speaking of fashion, I love Zara. I love how every single week the store is laid out with a completely different platform.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, every Thursday they retrend. They do a whole remodel of their stores, and they do a great job. Their fashion design teams go to all the top fashion shows, and they within a matter of weeks, they can get those samples pressed up into large quantities to be able to distribute, on an international level to all the Zara stores.
Wow,
So
that's incredible.
So I love Zara. I love what they're doing, and it's been an honor. I hope this is not. I hope you guys had a great experience.
Oh,
on
we
the,
did.
So
Thank
great.
you. Thanks
Yes,
for
thank
inviting
you.
us.
Thank
That
you,
was
thank
nice.
you. I know you guys you don't live too far away from where we broadcast
No,
from.
we
so
don't. Just downstairs.
yeah, so I hope we can make this more of a more of an ongoing segment with you guys.
Thank
and
you. It'd be our pleasure.
I would be my pleasure to have you guys in here, and next time we can maybe get some. Maybe I'll talk to my producer here, Erica, but maybe we can get some winners. Maybe do like a contest. We can get some winners to come down, and they can each ask a couple Q&As and
Wonderful.
get some advice, because like you said, Kimberly, it's like any business, and any way you really kind of progress from 1 to 2, it's all about who you know. I mean,
Isn't that the truth?
it's all about who you know,
Yeah.
and that's how you ultimately align yourself today and be able to become more and more successful. I want to thank my first guests that I kicked off my show today with, Taj King and Huey P. You're probably, I'll probably have to, off the air, I'll get you guys a little bit more up to speed on Huey P. As Tracy. Huey P. is I don't even want to say up and coming. He's an established, successful, up and coming artist that's about to blow up and emerge out of Washington State. So
Really?
he has a million views right now
awesome.
on World Star Hip Hop on one of his songs, and I had the opportunity to play his new song earlier on the show. So it's been a great show so far. We
Thank
kicked
you.
it off last Thursday with Sir Mix-a-Lot sitting right there where you're sitting, Kimberly.
Really?
And yeah,
Oh.
so that seat is
Old school.
is progressing
awesome.
to bigger and bigger.
It's royalty.
Royalty.
There you go.
A step above Sir Mix-a-Lot. I don't know, but thank you.
Yeah, there you go. So thank you again for coming in today. You'll be able to watch this interview by going to studio110.live. It's been an honor and pleasure, Tracy and Kimberly, to have you on the big show today. I hope we'll get you back in here in the next couple weeks. We don't want to interfere with any of the speaking engagements, but it would be great to have you guys back in the studio here at studio110.live. It looks like the sun is kind of trying to come
Yes,
out
it
here
is.
where we
Yay.
broadcast from, but hopefully the rain will be behind us here for the rest